Dr. Anthony. For those that don't know this lovely lady, this is Dr. Casen. Today is a very popular topic, as you can see. Everybody wants to work on learning more about the C word and how to prevent it. So I always like to give a disclaimer on a topic like this. Dr. Casen, myself, Dr. Bob, we're not talking about treating cancer, we're talking about how to prevent it. So we're going to be going over strategies that every single person should, can, and start employing to work on reducing your risk of developing cancer. So, you know, it's really important. I think that this is a popular topic because of how our world has started to change. How many people, by raise of hands, either know someone that has had cancer or they themselves had cancer? Yeah, so it's a popular topic, and we want to work on doing everything that we can in order to prevent it. You know, it's really interesting. I'll write down, there's a couple of points that I wanted to point out. The average episode of cancer in terms of treatment costs is $50,000 per episode, ranging up to $225,000 and or more for a cancer episode. So sometimes people say, hey, you know, prevention can be costly. Have you ever thought about doing it the other way? So it's better to work on preventing it versus actually going through it. So it's really interesting. 100 years ago, 1 in 80 Americans were diagnosed with cancer. World Health Organization estimates 1 in 2 men, 1 in 3 women will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime. So we want to do everything we can in order to work on not being a part of those statistics. Now, I think that this is really important. This next one is really important for our topic of conversation today. In 2016, the Journal of Nature came out with a study, and it was really important because they said 90% of all cancers are from environment and lifestyle choices. So I'm going to repeat that again. 90% of all cancers are from the environment and lifestyle choices. So guess what 90% of our discussion is going to be about today? Environment and lifestyle choices, because it's important. Now, one of the things that is really important, especially when we start to talk even about chemicals and other things, most people, and especially companies, they don't really care if you're paying attention to cancer prevention. So for example, today, if you're watching online on Facebook or you want to go on, we posted a infographic on like the 12 dirty dozen when it comes to cleaning products, and it was talking about known carcinogen and how it was listed in how many parts per billion in something. One of the ones was Tide. How many people know what Tide is? Well, yeah. Tide has a product in it that's like has 14,000 parts per billion in it of something that's a known carcinogen. So a lot of times they aren't looking out for you to say, hey, there's something that's in here that could be a known carcinogen. So this was an interesting thing that happened to Dr. Casen and I about a year ago. We were at some store, and we were at the checkout counter, and it was a beauty product store, and a woman brought something up to the counter and asked her, and really said to the cashier, I'd like to return this. And the cashier goes, I just wanted to know why. And she flipped over this beauty product and said, there is a cancer risk warning label on this product. Who would use this? So it's really interesting. A lot of the ingredients that could be potentially carcinogenic aren't labeled, and there aren't labeling laws for them. Now there's some states like California are progressive to try to have those listed, but essentially a company like Tide might not be looking out for you. They would just like to sell their product. So it's really important to be able to use things that you know are going to have as minimum amount of impact on yourself and your body. So that's just one of many examples about how things might not always pertain as they seem. I know last month we mentioned a study about it was beer and wine, and how a bunch of them had Roundup in it, even when they were saying that they were organic. So a lot of it is things that you might not even be aware of. So it's important to learn and adapt some of these strategies. So Dr. C, what's one of the very best ways and very best strategies for preventing cancer?
One of my favorite props here. So all of you here that have been a part of our workshops, I know we've had this question before. Any guesses on how many pounds of fat this is? 5. You are correct now. So 5 extra pounds of tissue in your body. Feel that. Your blood vessels, your nerves, everything has to go through that. So one of the best things to do to help with prevention in your own life is to work on decreasing this. Well, how do you do that, Dr. Casen? I'm so excited you asked me that. Well, you want to work on minimizing foods that you know will cause inflammation. And I know all of you that are in our office and you're watching us online, you know certain foods will always cause inflammation in your body. Some of those foods include, any guesses?
Sugar.
Sugar, yes. Very good. Any other guesses?
Dairy.
Dairy, if everyone can hear us at home. So we have sugar, dairy, anything else?
Carbs.
Peanut butter, we're gonna get there, which is a dairy also. And carbs, gluten, grains. Now I'm not saying that you're never gonna have a grain or a gluten or something, but you really want to work on minimizing that, because over time what happens is that causes inflammation in your body. And whether that inflammation is in the breast, which we're going to shift gears in a little bit and talk about breast health and breast thermography, or whether it's in, Dr. Anthony here, prostate health, whether it shows up in the prostate, whether it's colon cancer, whether it's stomach, esophagus. These are all other challenges in your body that are coming from something else going on. So we really want to work together. We're a team here to say, I can't say yes, no thank you. I know right now it's springtime and we've had a lot of people that have kind of deviated recently with the treats. I know none of you here and none of you at home, but I know that you want to be mindful with all of these items in the grocery store, that you just stay focused. Focus on the outside quarter of the grocery store to focus on your fresh proteins and your vegetables, because I know all of you know you feel better when you eat better, right? Same thing when you're exercising. You feel better when you're exercising. You know you have more energy. So we want to work on being mindful. I know, Dr. Anthony, you touched base on chemicals in our body. But I really want to focus on when you're purchasing your proteins and your vegetables, you really want to be mindful that they're always organic and they're not genetically modified. We had someone recently ask us in regards to an apple. They said, so are you telling me that genetically modified apples are bad for you? So just, if you didn't know anything about anything and you hear the word genetically modified, does that sound natural? No. So you want to work on focusing on organic, and I want all of you, with all these different things that we were talking about with chemicals, I want you to actually read everything you're putting into your cart. I want you to go home today, if this is your one thing you take away, open up your cupboards, especially for all the ladies here, and the men too. Okay, when you're in the shower, guess what I want you to do? What's in your shower? Look at your shampoo, your conditioner, flip those over. Some of them might even not have ingredients on the bottle. So I want you to look online. What's in it? And if you don't know, you can even, there's something called Google. You can Google it and see what are the side effects. A lot of these things and products are known carcinogens, and you could have been using this favorite deodorant for 20 years and not even realize how it's impacting your body because you're not feeling it. Does that make sense? So we want to get to the root cause to help improve function on the inside. And we start with detoxifying literally what we're putting in and out of our body.
I think that that's an important topic, what Dr. Casen was mentioning. A lot of it was that minimizing that type of exposure, because one time might not be significant, but when you do that one time daily for 20 years, that's when it becomes significant. It's the repetitive use of those types of items. Now, it was interesting too, I wanted to point this out. FDA is coming up with a new way of naming genetically modified stuff because they're catching on, just like how they change the names of sugar. So people go, sugar, bad, maltodextrin, I don't know, I'm confused because I don't know that means sugar. But now GMO is going to start to be called bioengineered.
Oh.
So if you see something and it's labeled as bioengineered, just remember that Dr. Anthony told you that's synonymous with GMO, genetically modified organism. So something to keep in mind. Now, what's really interesting, and Dr. Bob's and Dr. Casen and myself have talked about this quite extensively. Now, we are coming on the tail end of the winter season, hallelujah, right, in the state of Ohio. But that means you can start to get vitamin D outside. So today is a perfect example. Go outside for a walk, get some sun exposure on your skin's very good for you. Get some natural vitamin D. Standing outside with some sunshine for about an hour's worth of exposure is about 50,000 international, because vitamin D helps with a process in your body called apoptosis. So apoptosis, without getting into too much science, stands for programmed cell death. So your cells are actually supposed to live and then they die, your body recycles it and it moves on. When that process goes wrong, that's when cancer cells can develop. Vitamin D is very helpful in making sure that apoptosis goes correctly. Now, I know that many of you are astute because I know you've either been here before, or you've been to our workshops, or you've followed along. In the early fall, we have you do something, vitamin D drops. You can definitely continue to do those even through the summertime. I still put a drop on my tongue all summer long because I'll have people that'll come in with vitamin D blood work and it's in the middle of July, and guess what? They're deficient because we tend to stay inside too much. So one of the things that Dr. Casen, Dr. Bob, and I want you to do, get outside, especially in the earlier morning, later in the afternoon, get some sun exposure to help your body with vitamin D. Now, what's really important, we kind of alluded to this, minimize toxic exposure. Toxic exposure can be a lot of different things. I'm going to tell you, you want to do things that you can control. Cleaning substances, even things that you use in your yard. I was recently watching some of these gentlemen that are using the chemicals on lawns, and I said, man, that'd be a terrible job to have that repetitive exposure to those chemicals over time. Same thing, I've had a number of people that have worked at local factories for big name, whether it's a car producer or someone else, and they will randomly get cancer in their early 60s and pass away. So a lot of it could be from exposure that they've had in a workplace over time. So you always want to watch workplace exposure to toxic compounds and elements. From a standpoint that you can manage, always work on things that are not as toxic. I'll give you a great example for myself. Dr. Casen and I were in Costco last week. I have the cart, and I'm going and I go, hey, we need that stuff that you put in the dishwasher to make sure that it dries. It's called Rinse Aid. Hey, look, this is on special. It's $5 off. And she looks at me and she goes, you have to look at the ingredients. You cannot buy that stuff. Even though it's $5 off, Dr. Anthony, we need to get a better one. So I said, I understand. I will not purchase this one, even though there's 3 times as much of this as something else. I know that it's better to make a better choice here. So that's what it's important. This concept of choosing is important for all of us. Every single person has a choice. You can succumb to getting this $5 off coupon, Rinse Aid, or you might find something that's better suited for what's going on in your body. You're going to say, but Dr. Anthony, it's not a big deal. It's just that one time. But remember, when you might not be eating correctly, and then you're doing all these other items, and then you add it up over time, it's all of the addition of those stressors to your body that can predispose it to having cancer. Remember, Journal of Nature, 90% of all cancer is environment and lifestyle. That means you have a choice. Now, there's a built-in filtration system that our body has. Dr. Casen, talk to us about how our body uses detoxification.
So everybody right now, feel right here on your right side. Does anyone know what organ that is, which is your oil filter. Liver. So your liver sits right here, or it should sit right here. And I can share with you, all of you here, I know that have had films of your spine done. We do this special film where you're standing and it's from the front. And sometimes what we actually see, rather than the liver being right here, is it's down here.
Yeah.
Okay? And you know why that's from? Foods, sugars, alcohol, medications. I see this even in little kids that we see, and all of you see all the little kids in the families that we see. I see this from the pouches, the fruit juices, the packaged food, the bars. I was just talking to a group of teachers yesterday, and everything is conveniently packaged now in a to-go container, right? So even the teachers, as I'm working with them yesterday, was saying, so what do you do for breakfast? And a lot of them don't eat breakfast. They're on the go, taking care of the kids, and they're eating something in the car that's probably in a package.
Yeah.
So I want to encourage you, think about what you're putting into your body, and we want to talk about ways that you can help to clean up this liver to improve function. And I have a research article here that there was an interview done, and it said usually that people only think about the liver when it comes to alcohol or drug use, but in reality, 9 out of 10 people today have a sluggish liver. 9 out of 10 people. And in 15 years, it will be estimated that 10 out of 10 for anyone who hasn't learned to resolve a sluggish liver. Our liver has 500 functions. So if your liver is not detoxifying properly, it's going to go other places, including the lymphatic system. And that's why we do breast thermography in our office. You could have lymph congestion underneath the arms or in the breast, which is a body signal that that liver is being compromised. So on your little outline here, and I know every year, and I'm already sharing with you now in April that we're going to be doing this again in January, but even in the fall it's a good time to think about, is doing a detox program. And a raise of hands, who's done the detox program in our office? I know, we've done a couple people. And the benefit of doing a detoxification is to improve liver function, better bowel function, energy, weight loss. It's all connected with detoxifying your body. And on your notes here, a couple things that we had indicated on here that you can do at home to improve the liver is consider doing the castor oil pack. And I know some of you here are doing that on a regular basis. Castor oil and with a wool flannel on that liver is so therapeutic for helping with detoxification. And it helps to clean the liver. It's amazing. Doing that once or twice a week for a period of time. We've had so many stories of people that were having hormonal challenges, immune system challenges, varicose veins, spider veins, especially as we transition from winter to springtime, skin challenges, eczema, hives, rashes. A lot of times that is a body signal of a sluggish liver. So you yourself might have some skin challenges going on or know someone. I was just working with someone recently, and whenever they go out in the sunshine, they get a rash, like a sunburn, and then they get hives, and that's a body signal of the liver not being at 100%. So lots of different things that you can do. Also, we did indicate on here, we have a couple products in our office that support the liver. Livitrit is made of beets, B-E-E-T-S. All of you should be incorporating beets into your life. 1/4 of a cup of beets every day, or even 4 to 5 times a week, is going to help to clean up that liver. And it's roasting beets, eating beets. I don't want you to juice the beets because that could impact your blood sugar. Could be just a little tip for you. And of course, you want to minimize alcohol and sugar and other things that you already know that could impact liver function.
So one of my favorite things to talk about is chiropractic care. So chiropractic care definitely can be in a cancer prevention strategy because of how it helps the immune system. So a lot of times when someone has a compromised immune system, it can predispose their body to developing cancer. So there's a lot of things that can deplete immune system, but getting adjustments are definitely for boosting the immune system. I can't tell you the number of people that I have had in this late winter, early springtime that mentioned, hey, you know, I didn't get sick this winter time, or I did get sick, but I was able to get over it in a couple of days. It's really interesting because when you incorporate these choices and lifestyle changes and chiropractic care, it helps the body work at such a better level. One of my favorite things, especially with people that have never experienced chiropractic care before, they don't know what it is that we do. So like I had a mom and a little baby yesterday, and this little baby had some major challenges that it had improved, and it's like, you know what? I think everybody should get chiropractic care. And I said, yeah, I think, and I agree with you. You're like, everybody that I say, I'll have a group that'll say, yeah, I love my chiropractor. Then I'll have someone that'll go, I don't know about those guys. And a lot of it is, hey, it's ignorance that they haven't had a conversation or ever experienced it, because it makes a huge difference for how our body actually heals on the inside. Now, this next strategy will also be a really, really important one, is a good lymphatic system. How many people have ever heard of the lymphatic system? Well, the lymphatic system are like the garbage men in your body. So think about at your house when you take the garbage to the curb, the garbage men come, they take up the garbage and they take it to the dump. Well, every time I see a garbage truck, I always think about the lymphatic system, because that's what they do in your body. They get rid of the junk. Now, what's really interesting, let's go back to what Dr. Casen talked about with the liver. The garbage men are the lymph system, the dump is the liver. Now, if you have a sluggish liver, the garbage men can't drop the garbage off at the dump. So then what happens? The line starts to back up to get into the dump. Over time, what will end up happening, you'll have something that's called lymphatic congestion. If you've never heard of this term, this is a lot of times what will cause cancer to proliferate in someone's body. So you want to have a happy, healthy lymph system that's moving properly, and a dump or a liver that's cleaned up so that it can process everything. Now, one of the most common findings that we'll find on breast thermography is lymph congestion. So that shows up on a breast thermography. And what's really interesting and what we've seen over time is people that incorporate the strategies that we review with them, it gets better and it reduces their chances of developing breast cancer. So breast thermography is definitely a great tool to use. Now, I want everybody to, does everybody see this little graphic that's down there on the bottom?
Yes.
That black line, even though you can't see everything that's on it, it says 2 years and 256 cells. What's really interesting is the time a cancer cell forms, it takes time for it to double in sizes. So at 2 years, it's 256 cells. By the time, if that goes unchecked, by 8 years, that's up to 4 billion cells, where it's doubled 32 times. A thermography can detect changes at the 256 cell marker versus the 4 billion when it's detectable by a mammogram. So a lot of times what it is the proactive approach for the number of years that you could be proactively working on something to have a strategy. I've had a number of women that have had breast cancer previously, and then they start working with us with breast thermography, and their breast thermography even improves from where they were with breast cancer, and they're amazed. And I'm amazed because it's cool to see how you can prevent something from happening. So definitely, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. So, did everybody learn at least one thing here today?
Yes.
Now, this is what I will tell you. Don't let this information just fall off. I want it to change and transform your life. Your ability for this information to impact your body will be absolutely helpful if you apply it. If you don't apply it, it's just, hey, I love that Dr. Casen and Dr. Anthony. They do a little of this and they make me laugh and I feel good when I leave there. But it's how you apply the information from what you learn. So Dr. Casen, why don't you talk to us about the upcoming workshop and what we got on special this month?
Yes, so we have a special in our office, and for some of you, you use this. It's one of your secret ingredients.